Hi, I'm in a new place. My parents are upstairs. They're watching my son today, so I'm down here so that I can have some privacy and talk with you for a minute. Today I want to talk about motivation and I want to talk about burnout. So let's dive in. I think a lot of women who have experienced burnout can think or be told, or maybe it's this intrinsic belief that it's a motivation problem, that they burnt out because they just didn't have enough motivation to keep going, and they lost their drive and they lost their inspiration. I disagree. I think it's a capacity issue. What I find is that when women experience or are approaching burnout, and in my own experience, I've literally been told this, and so it's frustrating to me, and this is a little passion point today, is that we just need to try harder. Other people can do it, or you need to pray more, you need to have more faith, or you need to figure out a better routine so that you can keep up with everyone else. And that's not fair to say because each person has a different level of capacity. I think it's a capacity issue, and I'm going to say this over and over. I think it's a capacity issue, and that there's no shame here, but it really does come down to our lifestyle and our habits and the amount of things that we're trying to accomplish or consume on our plates. When our plates are full and we continue to pile things on top of our plates, it's no longer a motivation problem, it's a capacity problem. You may have heard of the empty cup analogy. We can't serve and we can't give and we can't pour out from an empty cup. So the advice to give more doesn't work for someone who's already depleted. Something I've noticed is that I'm not the only one who struggles with this. Lots of women in my life, whether they're even aware of it or not, I'm noticing that they're giving a lot and they carry a lot of responsibility. They have a lot of commitments and they have a lot of things that they care about that they're wanting to give their full selves to, whether they're leading in the home or they're leading in community, whether they're leading in the church, they're leading among their friend group, or maybe they're not even leading, but they're in a position of pouring out. From the outside, they look really capable and they look like they're enjoying it maybe, but from the inside, they may be tired and they may not actually be serving from a place of sustainability. And when that exhaustion shows up, it shows up in the body, and unfortunately, then they get told that thing that I was talking about before, that they need to have more motivation, or they need to have more discipline, or they need to manage their time better. So let's go back to the main point of, I don't think burnout is a motivation issue, I think it's a capacity issue. Why do I say this? Because most of the women I know who are burnt out or are experiencing the approaching of burnout are already motivated. They already care a lot. They're not lazy. They want to serve well. They're not lacking discipline. They want to show up, and they do show up for their family and their friends and their pets and their loved ones and their communities. In many cases, they're actually swinging to the other extreme where they're pushing themselves and their bodies farther than their bodies can sustainably carry. Burnout tends to happen when someone's capacity is consistently exceeded. And capacity isn't just about willpower. It's about things like sleep, stress management, community support, movement every day, quality of play and time of rest and rhythms, and emotional stewardship and hobbies. All of these things play a role, and when these foundations are depleted, then that's where the burnout can occur. When those foundations aren't supported, then we start to run on stress. And when we start to run on stress, that's when we start to burn out. We can't sustain on stress. So this is something I'm still learning for myself, especially as I'm now in this new season of motherhood. My son turned 6 months old today. Happy half-month birthday to him. And I'm still figuring out, what does it look like to sleep now? What does it look like to work out? What does it look like to pursue a business and to pursue a community of women who are like-minded and women who will grow me and challenge me? And what does it look like to pursue hobbies now and to pursue friendships now? Sometimes motivation can be the very thing that's actually making it worse. That can actually be the very thing that's burning us out. And when we're motivated by something, it's because that drive to do the thing that we're inspired by can blindside us, and we can continue to push because we're excited about the thing and forget that we actually need support. And then we can become more sensitive and more irritable to the things around us if it gets in our way, or we can neglect sleep because we will sleep when we're dead and we can keep pushing forth. We can start to objectify other people because they don't matter as much in that moment as the task at hand. And it can impair our ability to think clearly. Clearly, it can impair our ability to think clearly. And it can impair our ability to manage our emotions. And motivation, though, is a wonderful thing. We need to be careful because it can be the thing that blindsides us. So what actually helps? What I've been learning lately is that restoring capacity is less about drive and more about supporting those foundations that I had mentioned before: the sleep, relationships, nourishment and hydration, stress management, the list, okay? When those things are supported, motivation naturally comes back, and not in a blindsiding way. You don't have to force it. So I'm realizing more and more that sustainable leadership doesn't come from white knuckling our way through, whether we're trying to serve in our family or our community or in our church or even just supporting our own lives, that it doesn't come through having more discipline. It comes through supporting these foundations in our life. And this is probably not news to you, but let's be honest, these things often get neglected and pushed aside when they don't seem like the fun and exciting new thing. When they get boring and we think that this new task at hand is more important, then we can forget. I'm a prime example. I have so much brain fog, I keep forgetting what I'm talking about in this video. So if you are like me and you're trying to do all the things, just know that you don't have to do all the things. And really, if you just show up authentically and put yourself first through these foundations and trust the Lord and ask the Lord to help show you your limits and ask the Lord to help show you that you don't have to be enough and you don't have to do it all, and that through Him you are enough, and that's it. That's it. Let go of the rest. Let go of feeling like you have to have the perfect YouTube video, or feel like you have to have the perfect baby weaning foods ready for your 6-month-old, and let go of feeling like you have to finish the ministry that you started. Let go of feeling like you have to have the perfect curriculum for your workplace or the perfect sessions with your clients, or say the right thing to the person you're discipling. Like, let go of all this perfectionism and just know that when you're trying to be perfect, and even if motivation is well-intended, it can lead to burnout, and we can't neglect the core parts of us that God designed us to need. We need nourishment and water. We need supportive community. We need to move our bodies. We need to get quality rest and sleep. And we need to learn how to manage our stress, because it's going to explode outward if we don't deal with it inward. If you can relate to this at all, if you have experienced burnout in your own life, or you have teetered on the edge of it, or you've seen someone else burn out, what has changed in their life that has helped them recover from that burnout? What has your journey reintroducing that thing that burned you out in the past back into your life looked like? What does that look like? Let's talk about this conversation, because I think a lot of women need more permission to talk about burnout and talk about how we don't have to do it all. It's really tempting to want to click that video that talks about how we can, or to listen to that voice that says you can do it. But we need to realize that we have limits, and that God wants relationship, not perfection. Thanks. Bye.